Hello and welcome to jasonnewland.com. My name's Jason Newland. Please only listen when you can safely close your eyes. Vinny's in the background chomping on a bone. So you're going to have that in the background. Hopefully it should be fairly quiet otherwise. But you don't need silence for this. Okay, because this is going to be... It's going to be something. I can't believe I actually went to just scratch my nose and I missed it. How on earth could I miss a nose this size? It's not like I've even got a tiny little finger either. If I had like a little miniature finger, then maybe, but... So, it's not really relevant to the recording. Maybe. Maybe there's an embedded suggestion in there for you to feel wonderful. Oh, covert magic hypnosis. So, this recording is going to be focused on helping you, and I'm actually trying to think of a cute, short title for this, but I can't. But it's going to be focused on helping you to deal with an unpleasant experience. Now, I'm not going to ask you to focus on something serious, all right? I'm going to ask you to focus on something that's annoyed you, that maybe it's happened recently, it's annoyed you, right? I'm not going to ask you to think about something super, super serious from the past, something big, okay? I'm not going to do that. So, my suggestion is, if you need help with serious stuff, then seek a therapist out in person, and always make sure you get your doctor's permission before watching or listening to my recordings. What you do with it is up to you, but I'm going to start off with something, because even the small things can be really... sometimes I get, it could just be a slight. It could be someone just ignoring you, or it could be someone says something rude. They might not even have meant to have said it in a rude way, but that's maybe your interpretation. Doesn't have to be anything like a space shuttle crashing on your head, Doesn't have to be anything like that. It probably wouldn't be anything like that. But I'm just saying, something that is just still annoying you. It could just be me. It could just be this shirt. Maybe you need to wait until you stop looking at this thing that I'm wearing. I might step back so you can see more of it. It's a sexy shirt, I know. So it could used to be really annoyed at that, and you can do this technique. So I'm just going to get on with it, because it's a very simple technique, and that's why I'm saying only use it for something slightly annoying. It could be really annoying, but not, nothing huge. Nothing that's going to need lots of therapy. Just something that you'd quite like to let go of, but for some reason you're holding on to it. It's like, Urgh. But actually, if you let go of it, you can just enjoy it the rest of the day and just move on, with life. So, I'm going to ask you to think of something, okay? Think of something that happened. And I'll ask you to something that's happened recently. And I'll do the same. So I'm trying to think of something. I'm constantly annoyed. What's happened recently? Something that I haven't... Okay, all right. I'm going to think of something that it's yeah, I got something. I'm not going to tell you what it is. That's a good thing about this is you haven't got to tell anyone because it's no one else's business, is it? What you're thinking about. You can think about whatever you want. And I'm going to do this technique with you. So ideally you'd be on your own at this point, but you can do this in your head, but I'm going to do it out loud because it makes it more fun. And you can move around, you don't have to be sitting down to do this. Definitely don't bother with laying down or sitting in a chair, getting comfortable. Don't need to be comfortable for this. If anything, it's the opposite to that. A little bit of movement, a little bit of getting the blood circulating, maybe a little bit, This is me exercising. Me moving like this is probably the most movement I've done in probably about a year. So I'm a little bit exhausted, to be honest. But you can feel when you move your body around, I can feel it. And it's weird because if I normally do that, I wouldn't feel it. But because I'm talking to you and I'm focusing and I'm a different frame of mind, more mindful, more aware of my body sensations as I would be in a normal moment. And just by moving the body, it's a little bit like doing Qigong or Tai Chi, in a sense of when you focus in on the small movements of your body, that's when you really kind of get in touch with how powerful that is, in a sense of how it feels, and realizing that every part of your body has its own sensation and its own feeling. And as you move through the air, even though there's nothing really, it's quite static in here. You've not got the window open, it's not warm, it's not cold, it's kind of just room temperature. That's not just because we're in a room. But moving my hand through the air, just really slowly, I can feel the air. And normally I wouldn't even notice the air if I moved like that, but I can feel the air as my hand moves through it. Now the movement of the body's got nothing to do with the recording. I just noticed it and I thought I'd mention it. This is going to be more, you could do movement. I mean, originally it was going to be a verbal thing. Perhaps we'll do another one which involves movement. And perhaps I'll stand up with that one. Try and figure a way. Mind you, that one might be really funny and it get a lot of views. If I stand up and you do it and everyone will be like, oh, it's really funny recording, and we laugh so much, and I'll be like, oh, well, it wasn't supposed to be funny, and realise that you're just laughing at my belly. So that's not fair. So let's not do that. So, because at the moment I can look slim, as I'm sure, maybe I don't look slim, but slim than I would do if I was standing up and you could see my massive bum. The weird thing about it, right, if I stood up with the camera, the ceiling's probably, 8 foot up, maybe more. If I'm standing up, I'm 5'8", 5'9", whatever. If I sit down on my bum, my head touches the ceiling. That's how big my bum is. So, think about that thing, and I'm going to think about the thing. The thing is, now you think about the thing, it might have changed already, so that's going to be annoying. Do you feel differently about the thing that you were originally going to think of? That might happen. It's my funny face and my weird voice, my squeaky voice. It can change things. I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, if you feel better about something that was annoying you, that was getting in the way, that was of no use. It wasn't useful for you, was it? It's about as useful as my face on a date, on a first date. Not useful. Anyway, if you can still think of that thing or think of something else, I'm going to have to think of something else because mine's lost a little bit of its energy. Damn it. Well, not really. It's a pretty good thing, but... something that's annoyed me. Okay, it's not going to be a serious thing, just something that's mildly irritated me. So, yeah, I'll think, I've got something. So I'm going to think about this thing. So I invite you to do exactly the same thing. Just repeat after me what I do verbally. It's going to be a verbal thing. I might do another version of this which involves physical. This is going to be verbal. So I like you to think of the thing and just like remember it in your mind, beginning to the end. Just, I'm not going to ask you to fast forward it and rewind it and fast forward it and rewind it, because that'll get also change how you feel. But I'm not going to ask you to do that. I'm not going to ask you to drain all the colour out. If it's like a movie, to turn it into like a black and white movie, because that also will change how you feel as well. So I'm not going to ask you to do that. There's lots of things you're not going to ask. You could, if someone annoyed you, you could just imagine them wearing a big funny hat with feathers out of it and big gloves, like really big massive gloves, and maybe a snorkel for no reason. I can't itch your back. Oh. Well, that's nice. Perhaps I shouldn't do that on a video. I should edit that out. I won't. So think of that thing. And hopefully you haven't done those things that I said about fast forwarding, rewinding and draining the colour out and adding funny things, because that could have reduced it as well. So we don't want that to happen. If those ones that you were thinking about before have changed, then try and think of something else, because I do apologise. Try and think of something else, because I wanted to do something a bit original, something that maybe hasn't been done before. Or is there such thing as an original thing, something that's never been done before? There's no way of knowing, is there? You could literally you have to listen to every single person or everyone said throughout history, everyone in the world, to know whether or not they said what I'm about to say. And I'm not going to start going, I mean, I'm not going to make a weird noise. Although, actually, I was going to make a weird noise. But, oh God, I spoiled a surprise. Anyway, I just eaten some chocolate. I shouldn't eat chocolate. It's I'm like a little kid that's had a can of Coke before bedtime. It's like, I'm not supposed to eat chocolate, and I just had a bit of chocolate. So it's given me a little bit of a sugar rush, I think. Whoops. So this idea is really, I can still taste it. It's yummy. Oh, it's, if you can't think of the one thing before or the other thing after that, just think of something. It could be something that just annoyed you, that bugs you, but it's, something that's just, it's hard to kind of let go. It's, something that's, I know it's an old Buddhist saying, is like holding on to anger is like catching someone throwing hot coal at you and you catching it in your hand and holding it in your hand. That's someone unable to let go of anger. It hurts only you, it doesn't hurt anyone else. So, I mean, you wouldn't hold a hot coal in your hand. I mean, that would be much more relevant like 50 years ago. I mean, who uses hot coal? Mind you, barbecues, do they use hot coal? Or is it charcoal, isn't it? Oh, I like a nice barbecue. The problem I have, two problems I have about barbecues is it's not always the most hygienic way to cook. I see people using the same utensils for raw food as well as for the cooked food. The same pair of pliers, or not pliers, whatever they are, thongs, the same thongs. And I think, that's probably not very good. Because, I had a little bit of a cooking background when I was younger. Most things happened when I was younger. And you don't mix raw with cooked. It's just a standard thing. Like some people, they will put opened, or they'd all actually put raw meat above cooked food in the fridge. And you don't do that. But some people don't even know not to do that. It's one of the first things I learned at college, at catering college. And I took hardly no notice at all. On purpose, I tried to ignore everything that was told to me. But 3 things I learned. You don't mix raw and cooked food. You make sure that the raw food is always at the bottom of the fridge, separate from the cooked food. And never try to catch a knife. And I'm not talking about if someone throws it at you. I mean, get out of the way. But if you're doing a washing up, or you're cutting something and like you're doing some vegetables, you drop the knife. It's natural instinct to try and catch it. It's weird. Don't. I mean, you don't want it going into your foot, but generally, and of course, there might be a reason you have to catch it, but generally, it's it's almost human nature to try and catch something that's falling. Again, that might not be hugely relevant for, what was I talking about? Barbecues. Yeah. And the other thing not really big about barbecues is they attract flies. Like flies, they travel. You can see them traveling with little suitcases, and it's like they're coming out it's like a beach day for them, a day out. They've got little windbreaks and got sunglasses on, and they just come to just eat off of the barbecue. It's like, no. So yeah, other than that, barbecues are great. I suppose eating outside as well, because my skin does not allow sun. I can walk around with sun. I'm not a vampire. I don't have to avoid the sun to that extent. But I burn in the winter if it's sunny. I've got pink skin, and I go red within a few minutes, really. This is why I wear really, really red tops, so that I don't look so red in my face. Apart from when I wear a white top. So I guess I only wear this once. I'm not saying I'm only going to wear it once. I'm saying I don't wear it every day or anything, because it would stink. Even worse. So think about that thing that's really annoying you. I'm beginning to think it might be this recording. It might be this video. It might be me. Think about that thing that's happened the last day or so, maybe the last week, maybe the last month. Something when you think about it, it's like, it's really grinding my gears. I'm not sure what that means. It's really making my bum itch, just whatever terminology you use to describe something that's annoyed you. Really making my pubes tangle. I don't know, whatever it is that you use, because everyone's got their own little phrases, haven't they, that they use. And really making my boils pop. Whatever it is you've got. And sugar. So think about that thing. I'm going to think about my thing. Okay, I got something. And all we're going to do is I'm going to sing a song. I'm going to ask you to sing after me. Okay? There's not necessarily going to be any lyrics or anything. There might be, I don't know. I've not done it yet. I don't know what's going to be coming out of my mouth. And so think about that thing that happened. Get in touch with the feeling. Okay. And then just copy me, and I'm just going to, I'll say it, I'll do it first and you can copy. So focusing on the thing, and now go, yabba dabba doo. Okay, your turn. And now think about it again, like, right, ready? I'm a teapot, I'm a teapot, everybody's a teapot. You can do that. You haven't got to do the movements, but if you can do that again, just focus on the energy, the feeling. I'm a teapot. You're a teapot. Everyone's a teapot. Yeah, okay. I'm going to do it again. Try and focus. Do everything you can to keep the feeling, because it's going to try and get away. Okay, it's going to try and drain away, because the one thing that serious doesn't like, and that's humor. Okay, it doesn't like humor. Serious doesn't like humor. The two not very compatible. I mean, we see that in life, don't you? Someone that's super serious gets annoyed with people that are just playing around, and vice versa as well. You get people that are just want to have fun and they're around serious people. And that's not to knock seriousness, because it's needed. You know, I'm just sometimes too much seriousness, especially when it comes to something that's holding you back and something that maybe is now gone, is not needed, not relevant, unwanted, and other words that I could come up with. And you could argue, well, why don't you come up with more then? And the fact is, I've run out of words to come up with. But there are other words. I just don't have my thesaurus with me. So now focus on that thing again. And we're just going to start doing some sounds. Okay. You ready? So you need to be serious. So try and be serious with the feeling that you've got. That's why it's important that it's not something, you know, it's something that's not super bad or anything like that, because, you know, it maybe it's not the right thing to do these kinds of stuff with that. But think of something that's just bugged you. Maybe if that one's gone, maybe you can't get it back anymore because it's just buggered off. Try and think of something else that's annoyed you. So I'm trying to think of, I got stuff from like 1982 that's still bugging me. If I think about it, I don't think about the stuff, but there's something like, oh yeah, that was annoying. So it could be something from the past, that when you think about it, like, the thing is, it's almost like it connects with other stuff, isn't it? I think that's why some of the little stuff can feel so big emotionally, because it feeds off of almost like the big bosom. It's like feeding off the nipple of the big collection of all the different things over the years that have like mildly bugged you. So it feels bigger. So even though it's a tiny little thing, it's got having a good old suckle on all that energy, all that milky goodness from all the other annoyances. When actually, if it stops sucking, it's just there on its own and there's nothing feeding it. And this is what it does, is basically you're removing that thing from that nipple. Weird analogy, didn't know it was going to come out of my mouth. Apologies if anyone gets offended by the word nipple or pube or I don't know, anything else that I said. It's not about offending, it's just I didn't know I was going to say it. Okay, simple as that. Or bum. I said bum earlier, didn't I? So, if you think about something else, remembering the analogy as well, it's quite a good analogy, I think, if it's not good, it's definitely original. I don't think you see that in any psychotherapy books or self-help books. It's definitely, yeah, it's one of a kind. Which doesn't make it good. It just makes it weird, probably. I suppose a little bit like, do you know, I'm not a Trekkie, but I quite like Star Trek, the series. Well, I like all of the Star Treks, but especially the first and second two shows. You know, the one in the 60s and then the one in the 90s or 80s and 90s. Next Generation. And the Bjorg, the Bjorg, the Beyond Bjorg, the Bjorg thing, where they're a collective and they assimilate with each other. So they feed off of each other, but they share that information with each other and all that stuff. I guess it's a bit like the internet, really, in a sense. So that's almost some of the things that bug us can be also connected. I mean, technically, once they all stop feeding off each other, it kind of moves it away and it just drops off. Like little, not fleas, what's those things? Not slugs. Those things that feed on blood. What are they? Oh, you know what they're called. But once the blood runs out, they fall off. They just like when they get too full, they just pop. Well, I don't know if they pop, but they fall off and they can't do anything because it's like they just wiggle around with their big bellies, like, oh, that was nice, and that was it. I mean, don't have to. What are they called? Feeding off someone like not a mite, not a Tory. What is? I can't remember. I can't think what the name is. I do know the name. It's gone out of my head. Anyway, so try and think of that thing again. I mean, you might get through a few different things that you might even, which would be weird, you might even start to notice from now on that things that used to bother you don't bother you in the same way. You might even see humour in things that you didn't before. I don't know. Everyone's different. So if you think of another thing and just it doesn't have to be something that someone's done, because I'm annoyed at my hairline. I'm annoyed at my bald spot. Now, no one's done that to me. I mean, you could blame my, to be fair, it's probably my mum, because my dad's fine. He's got a full head of hair. I don't know what my mum's got, but you know, I did not inherit my bald spot from my dad or my granddad. They all had like lots of hair, so I've got a bald spot right at the back. It's I'm not saying you could see it from space, but it's definitely, I mean, if you flew over, I think a low-flying plane could probably see it. Yeah. In fact, I'm pretty sure I saw a plane go past the other day, and there was see passengers. I actually got a telescope, so I wanted to watch the plane in that, and I saw the passengers taking pictures of my bald spot. It was a bit rude. So, focus on something different. Something different that's caused you problems. That's that's like annoying you. And as you focus on that thing, it could be anything, and we'll do some other sounds. And this one is going to be, I quite like do a theme tune or something. I don't know. Okay, we'll do that one. La 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 la. Okay, your turn. Okay. Right, now focus again. I would do it again, but I don't know what I did. I'll do this. This time we're going to go peanuts, peanuts. Oh, I like peanuts. So do that now. Peanuts, peanuts. Oh, I like peanuts. Right, it doesn't have to be the same every time. That's a problem when you've got such an amazing range as I've got. It's hard to do the same tune every time. It's kind of it's a bit similar to being out of tune, but the opposite. Because when people are out of tune, they can't get a tune. When you're so in tune, it's hard to get a tune. Like, you might think, oh, he's talking absolute rubbish. No, slugs. No, not slugs. If you've got an instrument, especially something like a violin, but the more strings there are, the more delicately it has to be tuned. See, even though what I said made no difference and was absolute nonsense, now I can justify it by giving you an example, which actually makes sense. A harp, all those strings have to be so fine-tuned, because if one's out of tune, it could mess up the whole thing. A piano, all those keys have to be in tune. Otherwise, one slightly out of tune could ruin the song. See? Even though I managed to make something that was nonsensical almost become logical. I should become a politician. Wow. So think about something else. Try not to think about the piano, the out of tune piano. That's not necessarily relevant, although sometimes it's weird. You know, when you think about, you're trying to focus on something that's annoying you or that annoyed you, and then for some reason you're thinking about a piano that's only got half the keys missing, and you're wondering, how would I play that? And then someone reminds you, but you can't play the piano anyway. It's like, oh yeah, why are you worrying about something that doesn't affect you? But then you think, well, but why was I worrying about that other thing? Because that doesn't really affect me now, does it? Because it's gone, it's done. I mean, how much attention do you give to... Sometimes I think about these things as like pooing. And stay with me. It's going to make sense, I think. Right. So when someone's rude to you, well, they said something that you have considered it to be rude. You've reacted in some way, internally or verbally, maybe. I don't know. Afterwards, it doesn't really matter. In the moment, yeah, it had an effect. Afterwards, when you're sitting at home and you're watching Scooby-Doo on telly or whatever you watch on a Saturday evening, you can... Do you really need that stuff? Do you really need that energy, that negativity and those thoughts? Is it useful? I mean, to me, that's like carrying around a month's worth of poo. Like pooing in a satchel, and just keep it in there, and just where you poo all month, and you carry the bag around with you. Hello, and like wondering, I always manage to get a seat on the bus now. In fact, no one ever gets on the bus anymore except me. Even the driver doesn't get on. Because it just, although absurd that might seem, I'm not talking about the bus without a driver, because that is a bit absurd as well. But you wouldn't do that, would you? You wouldn't carry a big bag of poo. Because it's ridiculous. I mean, some would argue that's got nothing to do with it. It's not. How can that be relevant? But it's also ridiculous. Why? What's the point? It's just a pointless thing to do. Some would argue me making this recording. It's like carrying around a big bag of poo. I argue with you on that one because I've done both, and this is nothing like that. This is much more hygiene. Ick. So... going to bug me if I can't think what the name is. Slug, roach, bloodsucker. It's a blood-sucking thing. I can imagine some people shouting like, it's a what's it, isn't it? I mean, they was not roach. Oh, they were still using them in medicine. They used to use them in medicine a lot for bloodletting, and I mean, not in the Western countries they don't anymore because we have doctors are educated here. But I'm joking. I don't know if they still use it in some places, but I think it's quite good for cleaning wounds and stuff like that. But bloodletting, blimey. You know, I used to think, right? This is true. In probably the 1900s, people used to get bloodlet. So basically, they just have these things that would just suck their blood for a bit, or have a little bit of blood taken out for all kinds of illnesses, thinking they just had bad blood. It's just bad blood. Because they didn't know anything else. They couldn't, if in doubt, suck their blood, maybe. Maybe it was a vampire thing. Maybe in reality the doctors back then were vampires. Just a thought. So, try and think of another thing. Let's move away from the bag of poo, because I know it's hard to think of something you're angry about and also think about how ridiculous and absurd it is to carry around a big bag of poo. A month's worth of poo to carry. It's just so absurd, and it's disgusting as well, obviously, but it's just ridiculous. I mean, you could do it hygienically, I suppose, but no, you couldn't. No, I don't think you could. I mean, it depends what kind of... I mean, it depends, doesn't it? If you had one of those ice boxes with a seal, but I'm looking too much into this. I should move away. I'm moving away. I've moved away now. So, try and think of something else that's bugged you. And this time we're just going to do some sounds. Right, just try and focus on it now. And I'm going to do the sound, and then you do the sound and see if it changes it. Well, I was going to say something. Okay, I'm going to do a sound, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Right, ready? Okay. So try that one. See if that helps. Even Vinny's a little bit confused with that one. He's behind me, like turning his head, like, what? You right, Vin? Hey? What? I wasn't making a weird noise. So if you just try that, see if it helps. I'm not a doctor, really. Should break that to you. And maybe try something different. So this time I do a little bit like do a different sound, a less weird sound, a bit more normal, something that you could do in public where people might not even notice. Maybe try that one. See, does that help? Try it. Or if you think about something else, think of something that's annoyed you or bugged you. This is something that you could do while you're on a train. And imagine you just like, you're being polite, and you could actually imagine, because sometimes by transferring a feeling of like being angry to being actually in a good mode where you're being polite and kind and caring and considerate, it also can change that vibe. So imagine you're on a train or a bus or a plane, a coach, a ferry. It could be any kind of transport, or in a cinema, and you're just going to ask them if you can, if it's okay, is the seat next to them free to sit down? So it's almost giving that kindness can change. So you imagine you're saying that to them, and you haven't got to imagine the person, just imagine like just saying to the person. And when you say that out loud, it can have that effect of changing how you were feeling before. Okay? So if you just think about a thing that's bugging you, or that was bugging you, and then just say out loud what you would say. Well, I'm going to say it. What I would say if I needed to sit down, I was just trying to be considerate, kind, and caring. Okay. So try and focus on that thing that's bugging you from the past, and you can just copy what I say. Is there anyone sitting there? Can I sit there, please? We can be best friends. I'll try that one. Try that. See that if that helps. I'll do it again. Right, try and focus on the thing that you were bothered by. Is anybody sitting there? Ooh. Sorry, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it, seriously. I was rubbing my knees as I was doing it. It was a bit weird. So, I can't do it again. So you can do it. Say it yourself, because I'm struggling to say it. I forget what I said. Is there anybody sitting there? Oh, can I sit there? We could be lifelong friends. Or it could just be something as simple as being kind to someone. It does. I mean, I know I'm joking around, but being kind to somebody, being friendly to somebody that you don't know, and imagining doing that can have an effect on how you feel. So think about a thing that's bugged you recently, or just a feeling. It could be any feeling. It could be from the past, something that you don't enjoy, but not a nice feeling. And try and keep that in your attention. And just imagine I'm going to go up to someone and just be friendly. You know, sometimes it's nice. You're in a cafe or whatever, and you just want to be nice. It's like, hi, I've got you a flower. I picked it for you special. Is it okay if I read you a poem? See? It's just something like that would be really, it changes how you feel. I've got a poem I wrote. I'd really like to tell you it. You know, you don't have to use your normal voice. You can do it different from that. And so it's lots of different things. You can get in touch with the innocence within you, which is what I've been doing. It's a very innocent, friendly, calm, caring way of expressing, but at the same time nulling out that negativity that was there and changing the way you feel in a way that may surprise you and delight you. And you might think, oh, well, how can listening to this weirdo for what seems like hours and hours really make a difference to my world? Well, who knows? I mean, you're the only one that can really answer that question. You know, whether or not listening to this as being useful. Now, I'm trying to think we could do one more before we wrap this thing up. Maybe focus on something about yourself that you don't like. Or maybe not you don't like, but something that bugs you. Like, for me, I'm just too damn attractive. But it really annoys me knowing that wherever I go, I'm the prettiest person in the room. It does. It winds me up because I want other people to be as pretty as me. But it's hard. It's hard walking around having everyone look at you. Everyone's staring, always staring. Why are they staring? They don't stare as much now that I wear trousers. But, but seriously, if it's just something that's like, I could do with losing a little bit of weight. When I say a little bit, a few skipfuls of fat I could probably get rid of. So if I think about that, I think about my tummy tum-tum, and you could sing a song to make you feel a little bit better about yourself. And I'll sing it first and you can do it as well. And you can do this into a mirror. Okay, so you just feel, do it with a bit of sincerity and just, okay. You are wonderful. You are perfect as you are. You're a star. You're amazing. So amazing. I can't think of anything that ends with ing. You are perfect. Yes, you are. I mean, it doesn't have to be as complicated as that. But, you might want to think of the words first before you say it. It's like an affirmation, but in a singing version, and possibly could do with some work. I mean, you may be thinking to yourself, I wonder if he regrets doing that. If he regrets doing that little bit at the end. And I do a little bit. And then you might be thinking, well, why didn't he edit it out? I mean, he embarrassed himself, but he still left it in. Why didn't he just edit it out? It's easy enough to do. It's right at the end of the recording. I wouldn't have been complicated. And you got a good point. Why didn't I? And the main reason for that is laziness. But then you might think, but it's no harder just to snip it there than to let it, than to snip it at the end, because you have to edit at the end anyway. You have to cut off the bit where you're kind of walking around and dancing. How do you know I walk around and dance and sing and do handstands after I've done a recording? Oh, I didn't tell anyone that. How would you know that? Oh, that's weird. Are you filming me? So, these are just some light-hearted, random things. I was going to say stuff, but things that you could try. I mean, ultimately, it could have just been a complete waste of time. You wasted 50 minutes. You're never going to get that time back. Don't be angry with me. I didn't force you to watch or listen to this. It's just something that might be useful, okay? That's all it is. So let me know if it is. Please contact me. Let me know if you tried any of these things. And please leave a message on YouTube. Let me know. Or if you're listening on the podcast, maybe leave a message on my Facebook page, my Jason Newland's Boring Group. And if you're not on Jason Newland's Boring Group on Facebook, please join. Yeah, or if you're not on YouTube, please subscribe. I'm going to go. Yeah, that's it. I got nothing else to say. All my words have been used up. I still can't think what it's called. Slug? Drains? It's weird. It's not a sloth, is it? Strange. I can't remember. It's weird. Why can't I? Oh, it's on. You know, something's on the tip of your tongue, and it just falls off. I'm not talking about a boiled egg. I'm just. It's hard to balance a boiled egg on your tongue. It is. I mean, something like it might sound like an easy thing to do, but I haven't got a very big mouth. I just actually opened my mouth in front of the camera just to check, because I want to check it's true before I said it, because sometimes I forget. That's it. My mouth's quite small. That's as wide as I can open my mouth, which is what. That's it. Won't open any bigger than that. It's not, you know. I had problems with the dentist. When I go to a dentist and say, open your mouth a lot wider, I said I could if I would, wouldn't I? You know? And I realised then, I'm glad he doesn't check prostates. That's what I said to him. I said, well, why would I check prostates? I'm a dentist. I said, but you know what I mean when I say that? He said, no. I said, the fact that you want me to open wider. He said, no. How would I be able to see your teeth if I was doing that? You haven't got teeth up there. Weird conversation. I look forward to seeing him again soon, though. I think we hit it off. So I'm going to go. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for just being you. Perhaps I should stop eating chocolate. God, I remember when I was a kid. Well, not a kid, like a teenager. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. You know, those kind of years when I'd eat chocolate and it's just like, ping, a spot would just pop up. That's when my skin was alive. So I'm going to go. Thank you. That's before my skin turned to leather. Leather skin. So I'm going to go. Thank you for listening. Remember to be kind to yourself, because you do deserve to be happy. And be gentle with yourself. Lots of love. Bye.